The views and opinions expressed do not necessarily represent those of Access Fort Wayne, the Allen County Public Library, or any other supporting group. Access Fort Wayne is a department of the Allen County Public Library. If you or anyone you know might be interested in making a television show, please call 260-421-1250.
Hi, Dr. Rudy Kachmann. Welcome to our TV show here today on preventing, stopping, reversing diabetes. What an opportunity. It's a disease and all the complications from it that could be totally avoided. It could be stopped. It could be reversed. You could get off the medication. It's not very hard. And you can listen to this show, you'll know the answer. And you can go to YouTube, Rudy Kachmann, and diabetes, and probably 30, 40 other shows will be there. You need to gain knowledge. You don't want to accept this disease because you will die at a younger age and have many complications, which almost all diabetics have. Let me review them a little bit just to stimulate you to gather this information and then get to work. Don't accept diabetes. Stop it, reverse it, get rid of it. Don't get it in the first place. Okay? And what does diabetes do to you? And it's the biggest cause of blindness, the biggest cause of retinal disease, cataracts, and losing your vision is in front of many. The majority of people that are totally blind were diabetic, and they type 2 is reversible, stoppable. Type 1, where you make no insulin, you would say it's largely autoimmune, is what they would say. But I'll tell you, if you're a big-time milk drinker, because of all the hormones that are in milk, that it can be, that's what causes an attack and destroys the pancreas. Yeah. Also eating a lot of gluten foods, plant foods can do it. So type 1 isn't always a genetic thing, autoimmune reaction. It's what you ate, what you drank that caused type 1 diabetes a lot of the time. But which, speaking about 90% of diabetes is type 2. It's related to consuming the wrong food. But let's go through the diseases a little bit that I want you to avoid. Blindness, strokes, heart attacks, memory loss. The biggest cause of dementia, Alzheimer's disease, is diabetes. Most of the memory loss problems, they'll call it Alzheimer's disease, genetic. No, 70, 80% of the time it's because you're a diabetic. And you wasn't diabetic, maybe you weren't tested right. So I say we'll discuss that a little bit, what tests to get. So strokes, memory loss, thyroid disease, thyroid tumors, heart attacks, dental disease. The biggest cause of dental disease is diabetes. Yes, is that we're not teaching our children to brush their teeth starting at a very young age. When I even see now the advertisements for McDonald's, this is the one tooth, real funny looking thing, but what they're trying to get them to eat processed food and they're going to get dental disease. About 30% of the children aged 2 to 6 have dental disease, which is avoidable by brushing their teeth properly because they have bacteria and viruses. A virus is a non-living thing. They have no source of energy. They need to steal the energy, and they steal it off their sugar off their teeth. And of course, people with dental disease will have brain disease and heart disease. So brushing the teeth is very important. You can learn more about it going to YouTube, Rudy Kachmann Dental Disease. I have a 1-hour TV show on it. It's critical. And heart disease, strokes. Most cancer is due to cancer is a sugar lover. That was proven in 1930 about a Warburg called the Warburg effect. Yeah, the viruses steal the sugar because they need it. That's their only source of energy. And cancer cells do the same thing. Renal disease, heart disease, most skin diseases, hip arthritis, knee arthritis, numbness in the hands and feet, neuropathy, all due to diabetes, all stoppable, preventable in the first place. Prevention is the cure. Read that. But industry, government, which supports the price of foods that have sugar in them, like corn, sugar, supported by the government. Those farmers are bribing their congressmen so that they don't tell you about it. Most of the hospitals are founded on diseases from diabetes which are preventable. That's scientific proof. Really, the best one I like is the name of this book is Diabetes Epidemic and You. Well, what he should have said on the cover, now to think about it, diabetes pandemic. Epi means in our country. Pandemic, it's now across the world. India called me 2 or 3 months ago, their ambassador, because there's so much diabetes in their country. They want to use my shows here, which go to YouTube, to translate into other languages and dialects, and so people can use their iPhone and gather the information, because they can't afford, the doctors and the hospitals take care of all the diabetics. The largest number of diabetics in the world, India. China, number 2. America, number 3. We have actually a higher percentage of diabetics, percentage of the people, maybe 70–80% if they were properly tested. Yes, I mean it. Then these other nations, India is the largest nation in the world now. They just passed China a couple of months ago, 1.5 billion. Can you imagine having that number of diabetics? But Joseph Kraft, so Diabetes Epidemic and You, okay? You can get that on Amazon Books, Kindle. I don't think they're selling the hard copy anymore. I bought about 100 and I gave them all away. I got this copy left. I'm not giving this one away. So what does he say in the cover? Should everyone be tested for insulin? How do we diagnose diabetes? Oh, your blood sugar is elevated. But the serum insulin, which pushes sugar into the cells, is elevated 10 to 15 years before the sugar ever goes up. We should be doing insulin testing in little children. In this book, age 3 to 90, he tested them. He found the insulin level to be elevated. What's the value of that? Because if you then put them on a proper diet, low sugar, good fats, they then would not get diabetes. Pediatricians pay attention now, starting at age 2. Yes. They're not treating it right. We need to test the kids much younger, because it's a lot easier to teach good habits to children if you start very young. They'll only eat what you buy. You buy the right food. The problem is many parents are diabetic today, 80–90% in this country, if properly tested, and they're feeding their children bad food. I was at the Children's Zoo the other day, and I would say, and I'm not being judgmental, I'm trying to change things. I'm a man of change. I'm not for handing you a prescription, I'm for handing prevention. I say 70% of the women I was looking at going to the Children's Zoo were way overweight. Their children looked a little better. That's because they exercised more, but they were probably eating the same bad food that the mothers were eating, so they're on the road to diabetes. the reason that's important, the insulin testing, is that when the Vietnamese American soldiers died in the wars a few years ago, and these were people of normal weight, the Vietnamese and Koreans had no evidence of vascular disease, but the American soldiers, although of normal weight, had vascular disease all over their bodies, just didn't have symptoms yet. So in this, the diseases from diabetes generally take 10, 20, 30 years that you get the diseases manifest themselves. So if we diagnose people with serum insulin testing, even their children, the diabetic epidemic that we're all facing now would not exist. Matter of fact, the science is not just out of my books. Read Mark Hyman's book. He talks about it. Many other books. And Joseph R. Kraft, this book I showed you, K-R-A-F-T, you can go to YouTube. He's 96 years old, 94 years old, being interviewed. And he's saying, I'll be looking down upon you, and I think he's watching the show actually, for decades before you will start insulin testing. Why? There was so much money to be made from sick people. Our hospital system here is not doing serum insulin testing. I've been to all of them to ask them to do it. I've had this diabetes show here, a half hour, probably a good 10 years from now. For now, I never had one of them call me up and say, you really could be a guest on your show, or I don't agree with you, or I do agree with you. And then we'll start this testing in our hospital system. No, not one of them showed up, not one of them's even called me. But I'm backed up by a lot of information. 2,000 books in my basement, 50 on diabetes. Take me on, it doesn't bother me. I would love to debate people on this and say, I don't agree with you, Rudy. But I noticed that sitting there, and matter of fact, I was just at the Lincoln Museum here, and between my shows, and two ladies were in there, and they said, and they look both fit, mother and daughter, 100% fit. I said, are you Dr. Kachmann? Yeah. But they'd seen some of the TV shows, they had read some of my books, and one was a nurse, and she was teaching her patients about this. So somebody's getting the word, but a lot of providers today, here's a script, they got 10 minutes to interview, but you can't hand out a lot of information. You could have shows, TV shows in the waiting room, you could have handouts, so you get 10 minutes. You can change things. They do in England. Oh, they got socialized medicine. Well, let me tell you, I've been in an office to a doctor in England, and I find that the waiting area is full of TV screens where people can watch how to get rid of the disease that the doctor is seeing them. So let's look at this. Prevention is the Cure is the name of a book. It's on Amazon. I'm not trying to sell books here, but I threw this up there. What's hurting our children? Well, let's have a look at it. School lunch program. You know, I put these in the circle around them to this sad face in the middle. See, that's not a smiley face, okay? And what did they feed our kids for lunch today at Homestead or Woodside? Cinnamon buns. Look at the school, what they serve all week long. A lot of these foods that they're serving here are processed food, and industry has given our congressmen and our local health providers, even public health, a lot of money so they don't teach the right thing. Even kids are drinking milk a lot. When, if you really read Joe Keon's book, Whitewash, it's a book I've read 5 or 6 times. Read it, get Amazon. Anybody has children and give them milk, read this book. Joe Keon, Whitewash. You will not hand milk to your child again. And the reason is that the minute a calf is born, they inject it right then and there with a hormone, a growth hormone, so it grows 10 times its normal size, so it produces more milk. More milk. Then they put the cow in a cage. They put hormones on it, and then they milk it, and the hormones are in the milk, and you hand it to your kid. So what are you feeding your kid? Hormones, growth hormones, sugar hormones, all kind of hormones in there. So failure of public health. When have you seen a public health notice on the TV screen that we don't get enough money? I say bull crap to that. I don't get any money. They could be down here sitting opposite me. They haven't shown up. And the guy in charge in this city is part of a hospital system, so he's probably going to teach him what the hospital teaches him. He needs to be on there all the time. There's plenty of free TV available. I can't even give you his name because he's not on there, but I know I saw the name in the paper the other day. Public health is a complete failure, especially the state of Indiana. We probably have 80-90% diabetic rate in this state. Sugar industry, the government supports the price of sugar. So the price is lower, you can afford to buy it, and you get sick. Sugar is a booger and a hooker. The House and the Senate lobbyists, they lobby the congressmen, give them money. So they support the milk industry, the sugar industry, the fructose corn syrup industry, all of which help cause diabetes. So poor nutrition teaching in the schools, they don't teach anymore. The school lunch program, you wouldn't feed this to anybody. I will say in New York City, Eric Adams, who himself had been diabetic, so he learned a little bit. He went to Cleveland Clinic, and he wrote a book, and he's teaching people in New York how to be vegetarian. The only trouble is vegetarians, they're better, they're less likely to have diabetes, but there's so many lectins and glutens in vegetables that it's a partial answer. A better answer would be to go, what I recommend is the keto way that science is changing. And I would tell you more about that a little bit. If you eat the keto way, if you're not eating sugar, the sugar goes down, the insulin goes down, the fat cells open up, the fat heads to the liver, and small molecules, fatty molecules are made called ketones. So now you're living on ketones. They make you even feel more energetic, and they're even better than sugar. They used to think sugar was the only thing that could make the brain run. They now found out that ketones are even better, but sugar is the first thing for brain metabolism. Our body even stores a little bit in the liver, about 400 calories, in the muscles, about 1,600 calories, and that's what we run on. But we run out, we then start metabolizing fat, and fat can be converted to ketones, which is a good way of eating. So let's continue. My prevention is to cure processed food that has been stripped of their nutrients and good fats, and the cow's milk I talked about. Hospital system, the lack of preventative teaching. I've been to all the hospitals to try to get them to change. They're making too much money of the diseases of diabetes, and they don't want to change. I've been there, been to every one of them. That's okay. I look forward, not back. I try to change things. And so, as I mentioned, Kraft here, he wrote this book, and read it, layman read it, maybe buy it on Kindle, $2 or $3, you'd have it. He really explains about the serum insulin, and should everyone be tested? Absolutely not, only those concerned about their future. And that is what Kraft says when he saw him on the YouTube show. He's died since then, but he says, I'll be looking down upon you for many decades before you may change. We may change partly because the cost is getting out of hand. The government spends $300 billion a year for the diabetes pandemic, not epidemic, pandemic. It's around the world. It's around the world. So what do I recommend is to eat about 60% good fats. You got to learn the difference between good fats and bad fats. You can, this book I held up has a good chapter on that. For example, good fats are like guacamole, coconut, olive oil, certain types of butter. Those are good fats. But 25% protein. You wouldn't believe this, 15% vegetables and fruit. Yes, that's not the health food they're trying to get you to believe. Too many other products in plants. And the reason is that plants were there before bacteria and viruses, and plants developed systems to defend themselves against the viruses and bacteria. So they're attackers. They were there before them. Yes, so they have in them toxins and poisons. Some plants you eat could kill you like that. Other ones upset your stomach. Some are good. The nutrients in there are good, but if you just eat about 15%, you're getting the amount of nutrients actually that you need. So plants are not quite the friends that you think they are. So gather information. This is my food pyramid. See if you can get a copy. And there's a copy of this in my book, actually. Remember, I spoke about 2 meals a day to make it easy, because after I say Rudy's ketone 16-8, 16 hours of fast, 8 hours of 8. But you don't have to do it that way. That just makes it easy. Your body secretes about 5 hormones in the morning. Growth hormone, the ghrelin from your stomach hormone goes down, steroid hormone, CCK from the bowel, YYY from the bowel, steroids that keep your blood sugar up. You don't need to eat to keep your blood sugar up. I feel energetic in the morning because after about 8 hours, all the sugar in my body is gone. Glycogen, all those things have been used up. And I'm now into ketone metabolism. Remember I said ketone molecules make you feel wonderful. I feel like I play pickleball or take a walk. And now I find out that some recent reading, which is really a good one, you hear a lot about the GLP inhibitors, Ozempic and Wegovy and these medications now. But without taking those medications, you can naturally, if you eat a little more good, wholesome protein, I didn't say to be a vegan or vegetarian, okay? You can lean that way, but not to be completely that way. If you eat a little, I say 20%, but maybe that'd be enough, because I eat 2 meals a day, and I generally do eat protein. That first meal, I have some eggs and good fat, some guacamole, maybe even a piece of bacon, and maybe even a piece of meat. With that, the appetite gets turned off. So when I eat my second meal, eat what I want to, but I'm not that hungry. I seem to eat half of everything. I was taught this because I'm getting a day older. No, it's because I think I'm getting involved with the GLP and the YY hormones, and they turn my appetite off. I eat half a meal, so am I eating less? Yeah, not on purpose. But my hormonal interactions have told me not to eat so much. Here's another great book. I highly encourage you to read this, Simply Keto. When we was talking about Susan Ryan, she is, and she talks about, she lost 120 pounds, 150 pounds, and she looked beautiful. Yeah, and her and her husband both have been overweight, and she talks about the psychology of eating quite a bit in the front of her book. But another way to get that information, and she recommends 3 meals a day, which is fine. And she has pictures of every recipe. She has the calorie count, the proteins, the fat, the sugar in every recipe on there. So read the first 60 pages. She tells you about what keto is, and then pictures of you can eat 3 meals a day, or maybe just eat 2 meals a day out of there. I'm not against 3 meals. I had a group of church people, about 20 of them recently, at the Zion Church, and they wanted to get better. And I bought them a copy, each one of that book. You know, normally it would cost me $35, but I got them used. I think it was $5. 5 times 20 cost me $100, big deal. And they loved the book, and they saw the pictures of the recipes, and most are eating 3 meals, 2 are eating 2 meals. But you can be fine with the 3 meals, okay? But it's the right food, and you get pictures of the food, and she has it in detail. So the whole group lost weight. Yes, so I highly recommend this book. If for some reason that doesn't do it for you, then odds are maybe you didn't follow the recipes. That's one possibility. Another one, maybe then switch to my book here, Rudy's Keto 16:8, 2 meals a day, and maybe eat one of those 2 meals a little higher protein, and your diabetes will go away. You'll live to be 100. Maybe play pickleball with me, okay? So I highly recommend the Susan Ryan book. Let me tell you something else. Most diseases are foodable, not druggable. If you walk in your doctor's office and here's a medication, and you're spending a lot of money, and now you're on 10 drugs, and the interactions are putting a lot of strain on your liver. I'm 87 years old. I take no medication. All my blood tests are normal. Am I bragging? No. I'm trying to set an example that you might follow. Okay? I play pickleball 3-4 days a week. I take a walk around the lake and look at the leaves and sing a song and whistle. All things for relaxation. And I want you to avoid these diseases. I tell you another one that I really like. You can probably get a hold of this magazine, go online. The Complete Keto Guide, it says, and the explanation and the recipes, the best you can be in 23, well, how about in 24? And eat what you love and transform your body. I mean, here it is. And I've read it in there, and I frankly like it. You could probably buy this somewhere and look online, the Complete Keto Guide. It says Centennial Specials, and never feel hungry, improve your mood, boost energy, 33 recipes. I like the recipes. I've reviewed them all. And just like Susan Ryan's book, and maybe you've used both books. So what am I really, and let me show you one other thing. I deal with newspapers, and I give lectures too. And I put this in the Ink Spot, which is inner city newspaper. You find it for free in a lot of markets. And prevention is the cure. What I'm trying to say is pay attention for your children, have your children brush their teeth, teach them to eat the right food. So in the circle on top, it said teaching federal school lunch program gives a lot of money to the community, but it's the wrong food. They're making your kids sick so they have diseases so that our hospital industrial complex can make money. Come on. They can still make money if they gave the right food. That will not change unless people step up to bat. And I've been to church groups. I go out of town to Warsaw, look at my YouTube shows. We have to thank the public library here. I probably have 700 to 1,000 shows on YouTube. They'll convert the show to YouTube within a week. You can gain a lot of information. And every 2 weeks, I do another show here on diabetes. It's that important. And thanks so much for listening. I want you to be play pickleball against me when you're 100, I'm going to get you there. Pay attention. If you want a free pickleball lesson, let me know. I do this because I love you, care about you. Namaste. I'll see you next time.